Welcome to Trending Unpacked, the show where we explore the stories behind the trends shaping our world. Today, we're definitely pulling the thread on something that just exploded, really, in late 2025. It dominated social feeds everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
If you were scrolling X or TikTok, maybe Reddit, you absolutely saw it. The phrase Louvre Museum Robbery.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the interesting thing is, this wasn't, some confirmed headline event, not initially anyway. But the sheer idea of it, it just spread like wildfire.
It really did. It was fueled by these kind of vague reports, wasn't it? Unusual security activity, and then just this heavy fog of online speculation taking over.
Exactly. A fog is a good word for it.
It felt like a perfect storm, Digital media crashing right into this historical mythology surrounding the Louvre, and the public reaction, how fast it was.
Instantaneous.
Yeah, it showed that the Louvre isn't just, a museum. It's this massive global cultural symbol. Any hint of a threat, whether it's real or totally imagined, it just goes viral instantly.
Which brings us to the core question, I think, based on the sources we looked at. It's fascinating, really. Why does the specific idea of a heist at the Louvre spark such intense, almost cinematic feelings?
Mm-hmm. Like a movie plot unfolding.
Right. Why do art heists grab our collective imagination so much more than, say, a bank robbery?
Yeah.
Or, I don't know, industrial espionage? Those are big crimes, too.
That's a great question. And I think part of it is, the crime itself. When you look at major art heists, it's rarely just about the cash. It's often framed, rightly or wrongly, as being about possessing something priceless.
Something beyond much.
Exactly. Achieving the impossible, maybe. Challenging the big institutions that, guard our history. So the material we've got today, articles, reports on the rumors themselves, some historical analysis, cultural commentary, it gives us a fantastic base to unpack this whole digital myth-making thing.
So our mission today is kind of understanding how this vague whisper in Paris becomes a global obsession, mixing true crime, conspiracy, maybe even a bit of fantasy.
Precisely. How does the rumor mill work in the digital age, especially when the target is something as iconic as the Louvre?
Okay, let's start with the trigger then. Late 2025. Looking at the reports we have, what was the actual spark? What lit the fuse on this social media firestorm?
Well, it's really crucial to understand the initial reports weren't about a confirmed theft. Not at all. It was more about people noticing operational anomalies, things that just seemed off.
Okay, like what specifically?
Multiple sources mentioned visible signs of heightened security, maybe unusual troop presence nearby, which always gets people talking, or sudden unscheduled closures of certain wings of the museum, things like that.
Right, things the public might notice.
Exactly, or even reports, perhaps leaks, saying internal security protocols were being changed really quickly on the fly. And this visible disruption, combined with the fact that apparently security staff were very tight-lipped, it created a vacuum.
And as we know, the internet absolutely hates a vacuum.
It despises it, yeah. So that gap in knowledge, it got filled immediately with speculation.
What kind of speculation are we talking initially?
Well, the theory started small, relatively speaking. Maybe it was just a security drill, a training exercise, or perhaps a very high-profile, unannounced VIP visit requiring extra measures. Plausible things.
But it didn't stay plausible for long.
Not at all. It escalated incredibly quickly. Soon you had rumors about actual missing pieces, or, even more sensationally, theories pointing towards insider tampering.
Ah, the inside job angle.
Right, suggesting the security systems weren't breached from the outside, like in the movies, but maybe compromised from within.
Wow, okay, so the public response, you said it was instantaneous.
Mm-hmm.
Was it also dramatic?
Oh, theatrical is the word, I think. It immediately jumped beyond just, sharing news links. It leaped straight into the realm of shared fiction, almost.
So people weren't just asking, did this happen?
No. They were asking, okay, who was the thief? How did they possibly pull it off? Which masterpiece did they go for? The Mona Lisa again, something else. It just tapped right back into this global kind of underlying fascination with the whole narrative of the perfect art heist.
Okay, to really get why the reaction was so intense, we probably need to ground ourselves in, the Louvre itself, its sheer scale and importance.
Absolutely. You have to appreciate the weight of the institution. The Louvre is arguably the most recognizable cultural institution on the planet. It's gigantic.
One of the world's largest, most visited museums. How many works are we talking about?
Over 35,000 works on display. That's not even the whole collection. And these span millennia of human creativity. It's just vast.
It really is more than a building with art. It feels like a physical manifestation of our collective human heritage, in a way.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And what makes the idea of a theft there so compelling, so jarring, is the contrast. You have this institution, this former royal palace, that has literally survived the French Revolution.
Empires rising and falling.
2 world wars, political chaos. It's endured so much. And yet the idea that it could be quietly undermined by one person's cunning, or just a simple lapse in security protocols, it's deeply unsettling psychologically.
It suggests that history itself, or the symbols of it, are maybe more fragile than we think. Like they're only one clever thief away from just vanishing.
Precisely, that inherent vulnerability. And of course, you can't talk about Louvre vulnerability without talking about the huge historical precedent.
Right.
The ghost that haunts the museum, really.
The 1911 Mona Lisa heist.
The ultimate incident. It cemented the Louvre's place in the whole art heist mythology forever.
Tell us about that again. It's almost unbelievable how it happened, wasn't it?
It truly is. Vincenzo Peruggia, he was an Italian handyman who had actually worked at the Louvre. In August 1911, he basically just walked in during opening hours, hid in a broom closet overnight.
Hid in a closet. Seriously.
Yeah, seriously. Waited until the museum was quiet, took the Mona Lisa off the wall. It wasn't even bolted down back then, just hanging on hooks, tucked the wooden panel under his workman's smock, and simply walked out the next morning when the museum reopened.
That seems impossibly simple.
The simplicity is staggering, especially considering the object. And the chaos when they realized it was gone, it was, as you said, almost biblical.
Total meltdown.
Right.
Security shown to be, well, pretty useless.
Utterly inadequate. Paris went into a frenzy. The museum closed for a whole week. The director had to resign. But the really incredible part is what happened next.
It wasn't found right away.
Not even close. The painting was missing for 2 full years. And during that time, the media coverage was absolutely global. Non-stop.
I heard there were some crazy accusations thrown around.
Oh, yeah. False arrests, wild theories. Even Pablo Picasso was brought in for questioning at one point.
Picasso. Wow.
Yeah. And the public, many of whom had maybe just walked past the painting before without a second glance, they became utterly obsessed with the empty space on the wall where it used to hang.
They queued up just to see the empty space.
They did. The Louvre actually hung a portrait of its former director there for a while, and people lined up just to stare at the void. That absence became the story.
That absence is critical, isn't it? Those 2 years of global attention, the nonstop newspaper articles, the speculation, the reward money offered, this sort of public mourning. That's what really transformed a, let's be honest, relatively obscure Italian Renaissance portrait into the single most famous painting in the world.
Absolutely. The theft itself became the greatest, albeit accidental, publicity campaign in art history. When Peruggia was finally caught in Florence in 1913 trying to sell it.
What was his reason? Why did you say he did it?
He claimed it was patriotism. He wanted to return this Italian masterpiece to Italy, where he felt it belonged. Though cynics might say he also wanted the money. His trial and then the painting's triumphant tour through Italy before returning to Paris, it just solidified its status as this global icon, not just of art, but of cultural possession, national pride, and the drama surrounding it.
Okay, so fast forward to late 2025. When these new rumors about heightened security pop up, that 1911 story isn't just some dusty historical footnote.
Not at all. It's the template. It's the foundational myth. The public consciousness immediately connects any perceived threat at the Louvre back to that monumental event. It instantly lends credibility and, frankly, a lot of excitement to even the vaguest rumor.
And our sources suggest this isn't a one-off. This kind of thing happens periodically.
Yeah, there seems to be a pattern. Almost every decade, some rumor or maybe a minor incident, could be a petty theft nearby, or whispers of a forgery discovered inside, or maybe an insider leaking some security concern. It grabs intense public attention. Why? Because it's the Louvre.
The cultural weight of the place means any hint of vulnerability gets amplified.
And interpreted through the lens of that 1911 narrative. Always.
But the mechanism for spreading this story is totally different now, isn't it? In 1911, it was newspapers, maybe some telegraphs, highly dramatic, maybe, but slow today.
Today, it's viral, instantaneous, and crucially, it's deeply participatory. That's the big shift. We're talking about this rapid digital blurring of fact and fiction.
How does that work exactly, the blurring?
Well, think about platforms like X or TikTok. They don't just report a rumor like this. They amplify it. They algorithmically boost the speculation because it gets engagement. Users don't sit back and wait for official confirmation from the museum or police.
And they jump right in.
They immediately become co-creators of the story. They start making memes. They write fan fiction-style analyses of the imagined thief's motives. They produce quick video explainers linking the current buzz to the Mona Lisa heist. It creates this huge feedback loop.
Where the fantasy kind of validates the rumor.
Exactly. Which makes the rumor seem more real, which fuels more fantasy, and the whole thing just trends harder and faster.
So instead of the news event unfolding, what we actually get is this collaborative, global, real-time piece of digital storytelling.
Yeah, centered around the world's most famous museum. The Louvre becomes the stage set.
And everyone online with a phone is suddenly a screenwriter, director, casting agent, and critic for this imagined blockbuster heist movie.
That's a perfect analogy. That's exactly what it feels like.
Which leads us perfectly into the next section, the internet theories and cultural interpretations. Because this is where it gets really, really interesting, right? The moment the true crime aspect or potential true crime gets filtered immediately through pop culture lenses.
Right. And the first, most immediate reaction online wasn't, let's wait for the facts. It was, this sounds like a movie. The cinematic comparisons were just overwhelming.
What kind of movies or shows were people bringing up?
We saw tons of discussion comparing the supposed thief to characters in, say, the Thomas Crown Affair. You know, the suave, wealthy, sophisticated amateur who steals for the thrill.
The gentleman thief trope.
Exactly. And even more frequently, constant jokes and comparisons to Lupin IRL.
Okay, for listeners who might not know Lupin, that's the big Netflix hit, right? Inspired by the classic French character Arsène Lupin. He's a master of disguise, focuses on elaborate plans, often targets the powerful, kind of operates with his own moral code.
Precisely. And the fact that the first reflex for so many people online is to compare a potential real-world criminal to a fictional, often romanticized, morally gray thief. Well, it highlights that key shift in how these things are perceived now.
It's like online discussions treat art heists not just as straightforward crimes, involving property loss, insurance claims, and police work, but as a kind of superior form of storytelling.
Yeah, the narrative has to be good. The crime itself needs to possess elements of creativity, maybe audacity, and it has to generate this collective fascination. It's judged on its narrative potential almost as much as its illegality.
So the focus shifts away from the actual damage or the illegality and more towards the perceived brilliance or flair of the execution. A truly successful art heist, in this popular imagination, implies incredible planning, maybe some cool tech, maybe outsmarting an unbeatable system. It satisfies that public craving for high drama.
And this pop culture framing fed directly into the specific theories that really took hold during that late 2025 buzz. Our sources point to two dominant theories, which are almost polar opposites in a way. The first, and maybe the most predictable, was the inside job.
The classic scenario. The idea isn't some smash and grab, but something more insidious.
Exactly. The speculation here centered on the idea that a theft of this magnitude from the Louvre could only really be successful if it involved museum staff.
Someone on the inside.
Yeah. Maybe restoration experts who know the billing intimately. Or maybe high-level admin staff who know the schedules, the blind spots and the camera coverage, the security rotation. Someone with privileged knowledge and access.
And this theory feels compelling partly because, well, it has historical precedent, right? Peruggi himself worked there.
Absolutely. The Mona Lisa theft itself confirms that often the greatest vulnerability isn't the technology, it's human trust and access. An insider bypasses so many layers of defense just by having a legitimate reason to be there.
It makes sense. It feels more believable to the public, maybe, that the impenetrable fortress was beaten by someone holding an old key card or knowing a password, rather than, a team rappelling down from the glass pyramid.
The sophistication is almost banal. It's internal, which paradoxically makes it feel more real, more possible.
And it taps into a certain paranoia, too, doesn't it? If it's an insider, how deep does it go? Is the whole system compromised?
Right, that adds another layer of intrigue. But then you had the complete counter theory. A theory that feels very much born of the 21st century digital age. The publicity stunt.
The idea that this whole thing, the security alerts, the trending topic, the global speculation was actually orchestrated. Maybe for marketing. Or even as some kind of conceptual art piece.
It sounds wild, but it's the ultimate meta-commentary on our attention economy, isn't it? We are so saturated with viral marketing stunts and manufactured online controversies that a natural reflex now is to ask, is this real or is this performance?
Is this crime being sold to me as a spectacle?
Exactly. The possibility that a museum or maybe even an artist would stage a temporary disappearance of an artwork just to generate massive global buzz. It's not entirely out of the realm of possibility today.
Maybe to announce a new security system or raise funds for a big restoration project?
Could be. It fits the logic of high-stakes viral marketing. It basically turns the entire incident, the museum itself, into a piece of performance art, blurring the lines completely.
Okay, moving beyond the how and why in terms of logistics or stunts. Let's talk about the deeper psychological appeal, this paradox of aesthetic desire. Why risk absolutely everything for an object that is notoriously difficult, maybe impossible to actually sell?
Yeah, this is fascinating because if a criminal just wants money, they steal cash or jewels or something easily convertible. Art, especially world-famous priceless art like you find at the Louvre, is inherently illiquid. You can't just put the Mona Lisa on eBay.
Later we spotted instantly.
Instantly. So the theft isn't about simple financial gain usually. It's about acquiring meaning. It's about the act of possession itself. The thief isn't just taking property. They are, in their mind perhaps, claiming beauty itself, placing it beyond the reach of commerce or law.
So they're acquiring symbolic power, maybe? Status within certain circles rather than actual profit?
Exactly that. The appeal often lies in that symbolic challenge to institutional control. The thief is effectively saying, look at me. I possess the skill, the nerve, the intelligence to take this ultimate cultural object, even knowing I might never be able to display it or sell it. It becomes an act of supreme ego, maybe, but also perhaps a twisted form of aesthetic devotion.
And is that why the thief in these online narratives often gets framed less like a common criminal and more like a romantic figure, a challenger to the system?
I think so. The narrative definitely taps into a deep, maybe subconscious, anti-establishment romanticism. It implicitly raises that old question, who really owns art? Is it the museum, the state, the public who queues to see it, or is it the person who risked everything to possess it, even illicitly?
So platforms like Reddit or TikTok and their constant drive to dramatize everything, they create this mythos around the thief.
Yeah, they immediately start building a character profile. Maybe they stole it out of pure love for the art, or perhaps out of contempt for the elite system that keeps it behind glass. The thief can become this sort of modern-day Robin Hood, but stealing beauty instead of gold.
But that romantic view, it completely glosses over the actual damage caused by real art theft, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The cultural loss.
Oh, absolutely. And this is the crucial point where the glamorous fiction crashes hard against the grim reality. While the public might enjoy the fantasy of the brilliant, sophisticated thief, the sources that detail actual art crime investigations paint a very different picture. It's often brutal and devastating.
How so?
When priceless art is stolen and goes underground, it rarely ends up in a climate-controlled vault owned by a discerning collector like in the movies. More often, it suffers irreversible damage from improper storage damp basements, being hidden crudely, or it's used as collateral in other criminal enterprises, or it simply disappears forever, becoming a permanent, tragic loss to human heritage. The romanticism is purely for the story. The real consequences are often just cultural vandalism.
A sobering reality check on the fantasy. Okay, let's step back a bit now for the analysis. What does this huge, immediate, and very culturally loaded fascination with a potential Louvre heist really tell us about us? About the global digital audience consuming and creating this story?
Well, I think fundamentally it speaks volumes about our deep-seated need for mythology, for narrative structure in the chaos of information. Art theft, especially on this imagined scale at this location, it transcends simple crime reporting.
Why? What makes it different?
Because it's almost always portrayed, as we discuss, as the ultimate narrative challenge. It's the flawless execution of an ingenious plan against what's perceived as the ultimate defense system. The digital world, especially social media, constantly craves fresh drama, new narratives, and a Louvre heist rumor. It provides instant, high-stakes material for collective storytelling.
So it allows everyone online to become a participant in this thrilling narrative.
Yeah.
We can all speculate about the security flaws, the thief's motives, engage with this high-stakes drama, but from the safety of our keyboards.
Exactly. It's a participatory thriller. The Louvre is the ultimate jewel, the security is the dragon guarding it, and the thief is the enigmatic hero or anti-hero trying to succeed. It's compelling stuff.
And underlying it all, you think, is this tension between beauty and possession.
I do. We're drawn to the idea of the ultimate forbidden object. Artworks like those in the Louvre represent, for many, the pinnacle of human culture and achievement. So when they are rumored to be threatened or potentially claimed by a single individual outside the system, it feels like a profound disruption. It shakes our sense of the established cultural and social order.
Okay, we've talked a lot about the romantic idea of the thief's brilliance.
Mm.
But if brilliance is the key to pulling off something like this today, it can't just be about slipping past guards, can it? It must involve technology.
Let's get into what a modern Louvre thief would really be facing.
Right. The challenge today is exponentially, almost unimaginably higher than it was for Perugia in 1911. Modern museum security is just layers upon layers of technology. It's astonishingly complex. What are we talking about specifically? More than just cameras, presumably.
Oh, much more. We're talking multiple layers of advanced surveillance, sure. High-definition cameras, yes. But often now with AI-driven pattern recognition software designed to automatically flag unusual movement or behavior.
So the AI is watching the watchers, in a sense.
In a way, yes. Then you have biometric access control for the most sensitive areas, restricted zones you can't enter without the system verifying your unique physical identifiers.
Biometrics. So things like fingerprints, retina scans. facial recognition.
Exactly. Not just a key card that can be stolen or duplicated, but your actual physical self. This drastically limits who can even get close to the most valuable objects after hours. Plus, you've got things like inertia sensors embedded in walls, floors, display cases, detecting vibrations or attempts to move things, pressure plates, laser grids still. It's formidable.
So the old trope of hiding in a broom closet is pretty much out.
Completely out. A successful physical theft from a major museum in the 21st century almost certainly requires a significant digital infiltration component, or extreme levels of insider cooperation, probably both. You'd likely have to hack the security schedules, maybe disable specific sensors remotely, perhaps spoof the biometric systems, override the AI monitoring, often before you even set foot inside.
It sounds more like a cybercrime than a physical break-in sometimes.
The line is definitely blurring, and this technological arms race extends to protecting art after a theft, too. We're seeing increasing reliance on things like blockchain art tracking.
Okay, blockchain. Most people associate that with cryptocurrency. How does it apply to tracking art? Can you break that down?
Sure. In simple terms, blockchain art tracking aims to create a secure, unchangeable, decentralized digital record, a ledger of an artwork's provenance.
Provenance meaning its history, like who owned it when.
Exactly. Its history of ownership, exhibition records, and importantly, its authenticity verification. Every time the artwork is legitimately sold or loaned or even professionally authenticated, that transaction or event gets recorded as a block on this digital chain. And because the chain is decentralized across many computers, it's incredibly difficult to tamper with or forge retrospectively.
Okay, so how does that deter theft? If someone steals a painting, what difference does the blockchain record make?
It makes it much, much harder to sell the stolen piece, especially on the legitimate high-end market where the real money is. A serious collector or institution acquiring a major artwork will demand proof of clear title and provenance. With blockchain tracking, they can instantly check the offered piece against its secure digital history.
So if the seller can't provide a provenance that matches the unbroken chain on the blockchain?
Red flags go up immediately. The piece is effectively tainted, maybe worthless on that legitimate market. It solves, or tries to solve, the fencing problem. Even if you steal the masterpiece, you can't easily convert it to cash through reputable channels. This technology aims to drastically lower the financial incentive for stealing culturally significant art, even if its cultural value remains immense.
So theoretically, technology should be making these grand physical heists almost obsolete by killing the potential payouts.
That's the hope, or one of the aims.
And yet, the same technology, the internet, social media, provides the platform for the rumor of such a crime to become this massive global phenomenon in seconds.
That's the paradox, isn't it? Technology is absolutely the double-edged sword here. It massively fortifies the physical defenses of places like the Louvre with digital shields, but at the same time, it exposes the institution to entirely new kinds of threats.
Like cyber attacks targeting security systems.
Yes, or deepfakes being used to cast doubt on the authenticity of works. And as we've seen, it exposes them to immediate, uncontrollable reputational damage from viral rumors and misinformation that can spread faster than any official statement can possibly react. The Louvre's vulnerability today isn't just about the thickness of its display case glass. It's also about the robustness of its network security and, crucially, its ability to manage the narrative in the digital space.
Ultimately, though, the Louvre remains this potent symbol. Its sheer cultural weight, as you said, ensures that any incident, any rumor touching it, automatically carries this immense global significance. It's never just about a missing object.
No, it feels like a threat to collective memory, to shared heritage.
Which brings us, I think, to the final reflection that really came through from exploring this trend. You suggested that maybe the most valuable thing stolen when a Louvre robbery trends, whether that incident is real or exaggerated or completely fictional, isn't actually the art itself.
That was the thought, yeah.
So what is it then? What's being lost or damaged?
Perhaps it's our shared sense of security around culture itself. Every time one of these rumors surfaces and captures the global imagination, every time the public engages so intensely with the idea of a successful heist at the ultimate repository, maybe it subtly chips away at our collective confidence. Our belief that these priceless, irreplaceable objects are truly safe, that they are securely guarded for future generations, for perpetuity.
So the rumor itself forces us to confront an uncomfortable possibility.
I think so. The unsettling possibility that even the pinnacle of human creation, housed in what we imagine to be an impregnable fortress, is still inherently vulnerable. Vulnerable to human ingenuity or human greed, or maybe just human error or recklessness.
It's the realization that if even the Louvre, the global symbol of art preservation, can be compromised, even just hypothetically in a trending rumor, then maybe no piece of our shared history, no matter how precious or well-guarded we think it is ever truly completely safe from that perfect storm of motive, opportunity, and intelligence.
And that enduring mystery, that tension between our desire to preserve history perfectly and the undeniable romantic thrill we get from stories about challenging that authority, that's probably why the idea of a Louvre robbery will always, always capture the global imagination, whether it's actually happening or just trending online.
That's a really powerful way to frame it. Understanding why these stories hit so hard, whether it's real or imagined, the idea of stealing from the Louvre definitely reminds us that, well, beauty and danger often live very close together.
A fascinating intersection, definitely. History, technology, psychology, and pure storytelling all wrapped up in one trending topic.
Well, thank you for helping us unpack the anatomy of this global rumor today. It's been quite the exploration.
My pleasure. Always interesting to see how these things take off.
Indeed. Okay, next time on Trending Unpacked, we're switching gears completely. From high art to high-flying athletics, we'll be looking at NBA 2025 and exploring what's redefining basketball culture this season. Until then, keep questioning the trends.